And we're back. Welcome back to Retirement Decoded, the podcast. I'm your host, Scott Tucker. I have with me Associate Advisor
Max Rand. Hey guys.
There we go. And if you're listening to us on the audio podcast, and of course it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on Amazon. Did you know that we have a video version, and that's available at tuckeryoutube.com. So if you go to tuckeryoutube.com, it'll direct you exactly to our YouTube channel, tuckeryoutube.com. Also, we can help folks. We're federally licensed. We can help folks all across the fruited plain, U.S. citizens and green card holders anywhere in the United States and its territories. So we're in Chicago, but doesn't mean you have to be in Chicago. Yep. We have clients all over the country, Florida and California and Texas and Michigan and Wisconsin and states I can't recall right now. They're out there.
Nobody in Guam yet, though.
Nobody in Guam.
Yep. Give us a call if you're in Guam.
If you're in Guam, go to tuckerretirement.com, get on the phone calendar, and Max will take the 3 a.m. Phone calls.
I will gladly do that call.
Just to say you did it.
Yes.
Okay. Right. How many time zones is this?
Yep.
12 time zones? I don't know. So we have a question today, Max. We've got podcast listeners from all over the place.
We have an international crowd here.
So. Yeah, we've got podcast listeners. It varies. We get these little reports with a map and stuff. And I don't have the current map handy with me. I apologize. But we get these maps, and it'll say, okay, you're most popular right now. Recently, it was like Illinois and California. Oh, okay, we've got clients in California. That makes some sense. But a lot of times we get like Illinois, Tennessee, and Florida, because Tennessee and Florida have no state income tax.
Yeah.
Right? And then the other one that happens a lot of times is Texas, because Texas has no state income tax.
And we get some around the world too, don't we?
Yeah, well, there's that. But now sometimes people move to Tennessee, Florida, or Texas to get away from the state income tax, but Illinois doesn't tax retirement income.
One of the few things that's good tax-wise here.
Now, Illinois is second worst in the country behind New Jersey.
Well, I think they're the worst now, aren't they?
Oh, we might be number one.
Yeah, I think they're number one. Yeah.
So Illinois had, you know what, that might be right. I thought I heard that the other day. Now that you mentioned that. So it used to be Illinois was worst in the country for property tax, and I think I saw something like you're saying.
New Jersey was, now Illinois is now the worst.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Number one.
Number one.
We're in the playoffs.
Number one.
So there's that. But I know a gentleman moved from the western suburbs of Chicagoland, and he moved to the Dallas, Texas area.
Great area. Don't blame him.
He didn't talk to me before he did it.
Oh, man.
He knows what I do, financial planning.
Do that. Come on.
So he got a bug up his rear end. He's still working, so it did make some sense to save on the Illinois 4.95% income tax and to go to Texas and pay no state income tax. But he moved from the western suburbs where they have pretty high property taxes in suburban Cook County. He moved to suburban Dallas, and the property taxes were the same.
Oh, seriously?
In
Dallas?
Yeah. Just
I'm shocked.
Talk to me. Well, so I wrote a book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? And I found, you do a lot of research when you write a book, and I found that in Texas, it varies very much by county, municipality, and things.
Oh, the property tax?
Yeah, you might be in an area. So in Illinois, it's just bad everywhere, the whole state. But in Texas, it varies a lot by county and by municipality, and a lot of the places you'd want to live. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will move to Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. Some people move to Houston. Houston's a little too humid for me, I think.
Yeah.
But a lot of the places you would want to live, you get there and you figure out, wait, everybody wants to live here, and there's a lot of big government stuff and localized spending. Yep. So in Texas, the property tax is going very widely. But anyway, so here we are, episode 67.
Yes.
And Susan has asked, Max, should I be moving money out of my 401k now that I'm retired?
Oh, what do you mean, Susan? It should already be moved over.
And now I don't know what Susan means exactly, because Susan says, Max, should I be moving money out of my 401k now that I'm retired?
Yeah, there could be multiple angles she's coming from there.
So we just had this recently, longtime client. She and her husband, now her husband's going to keep working, but she's going to stop working in about another couple months. And she says, what do I do with my 401k? I've got a Roth 401k, traditional 401k where the employer match goes. I also have the company, it's a hospital company. They call it a pension. It's not really like a pension like you think about a pension.
Yeah.
It's a 401a.
Yep.
So she's essentially just got another 401k there.
Yeah.
So she's got a Roth 401k, a traditional 401k, and then a 401a, also traditional. And she says, what do I do? And she's just retiring in 2 months. If she had a long ways to go and it was a chunk of money, and she was 59 and a half, we would just roll the 401k and the 401a over to, say, a Schwab IRA or Fidelity IRA. We use Schwab and Fidelity as third-party custodians so we don't hold our clients' money. It's a SEC requirement. That's a good idea, too. And then we would have the Roth 401k. We'd have that go to a Schwab Roth IRA or a Fidelity Roth IRA. But I said to, we'll call her, let's see. We have Susan here asking the question. I'll just call this lady Susan. So Susan says, this client, she says, now, should we do the rollover now or should we wait till I'm retired in 2 months? I said, well, you know what? I'd rather not do the paperwork twice.
Right.
And logging in and probably a phone call. And it's not difficult. It's just, it's a little bit of workload on our staff and our team.
Right.
Not so much on our client. We make it easy for the client. But hey, how about we do this? You stop working in 2 months and let's wait for a couple of weeks and you get your last paycheck. Then let's wait about another week, your last deposit and employer match and all that in the 401k. So we just do it one time. So she retires about 2 months. We wait about 2 weeks for the last paycheck. Wait about another week for the last 401k deposit. Then we do the rollover from the 401k and the 401a into the Schwab. In her case, Schwab is who she chose. We have Schwab or Fidelity. Either way, it doesn't make much of a difference. So the 401k and the 401a will go to Schwab IRA. That'll also simplify life, right, Max? Because she already has
Hopefully it would.
Yeah, well, she already has a Schwab IRA, and then she's got the 401k and the 401a. So those will go in the Schwab IRA. And instead of having these 3 different things going on, cats fighting under a blanket, she'll have them in one spot. And we're all going to get older, and as we get older, we're not going to want to have life to be too complicated.
Right.
And then Max, she also has a and you weren't in that meeting. Saida was in the meeting with me, one of our other financial planners here at Scott Tucker Solutions Inc. And the Roth 401k, we'll scoot that over to the Schwab Roth.
Yep.
And we're going to go from complicated to more simple.
Right.
So instead of right now on we'll call her Susan, right? On her side of things, now her husband has other accounts as well with us. But right now she's got a Schwab IRA, a Schwab Roth, and then at work she has a Roth 401k, a traditional 401k, traditional 401a. So instead of having those 5 accounts, we're going to go down, whoop, here's 2 accounts.
So now, Scott, I know the answer to this, but a lot of our viewers might not.
Just give me a layup.
Why would Susan want to move money out of her 401k to a regular IRA or a regular Roth? Why wouldn't she just want to keep them in the 401ks at her job? So
it's like we're talking to each other about things that we know the other person knows.
Yep.
So the typical 401k in America, now there are variations of that. So yours doesn't always fit if you're listening to the podcast or watching it at tuckeryoutube.com. The typical 401k in America has 20 to 21 mutual funds in it.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. Well, sometimes what they do now, because they started doing this for federal employees, the TSP plan used to have five funds. And then you go, oh wait, but we're going to come up with these life cycle funds.
Oh God!
And all those are target date funds.
Yeah, run.
Yeah,
if you see a target date fund, run.
Not specific advice, your mileage may vary.
Yep.
But we'll look under the hood for you. So, the issue with target date funds or life cycle funds, either way, is they tell you, well, you're going to retire in 2030. You ought to have this. If you're 2035, you ought to have that. We'll make adjustments for you. Set it and forget it. Fall asleep. Don't pay attention. The issue is if you're a younger worker, they're going to have you mostly in stocks. But as you get close to retirement, they're going to have you largely in bonds.
Yep.
And that's the plan representative loves that because it makes their job really easy.
Easiest solution.
Yeah, they're like, here, easy button, bam, I'm done. You know what you ought to have? Target date fund. What year are you retiring, Max? Oh, 2045. Hey, just plug it in.
And as we know, oftentimes the easiest solution isn't often the best.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know if you remember this, because Max, you're a little bit younger than me. There used to be, I remember this especially like in the 80s, a lot of cars would rust out.
Before my time.
Yeah, so nowadays they have some pretty good rust treatment in the auto factories. They dip the whole auto body with like an electrical current into a bath, and it hears something onto the metal. So cars don't rust out like they used to, but cars used to kind of like start rusting out pretty bad when they were like 4 years old. And you didn't rust out when you were 4 years old.
I hope.
No,
Yeah, I hope
okay, don't want to do that. So there's a thing people would do though is they'd go to the body shop, and even if it was a good body shop, they just try to do what they could. And so a lot of times they wouldn't weld in new metal, or they wouldn't go get a good body panel from the junkyard because those panels were already rusted out too.
Right.
And the body, you couldn't really just buy the body panel to replace it. So they grind out the rust, and they'd call the rust cancer because they didn't really have a way. The metal wasn't really treated in the factory very well, so it would rust out as 4 or 5 years into owning the cars, started having rusting out. So some of these body shops, they would try to get on it early, say bring it in before it gets too bad. They grind out a bunch of it, and then they use this stuff called Bondo. You heard of Bondo?
No, never heard of it.
Bondo. Okay, so you ever maybe years ago, maybe you're renting an apartment and you were gonna move out, and you had a hole. You had nailed something in the wall, so you go buy some of that spackle.
Yeah.
Spackle and a spackle knife for the drywall, and you spackle it, and then you wait for it to dry, and you sand it, and then you paint it, and then you hope the apartment people don't take away your deposit, because you messed up the wall or something. So Bondo, for our seasoned citizens, I'm 53. For people my age and older, know what Bondo is. So you would sand the rust out of the body panel, and then you kind of spackle it with the Bondo. And so the Bondo was the name of the product, and it would dry, and you'd sand it, and then you prime it, and you paint it. And it would look good for about 30 days. Probably there's probably a lot of shystery. I'm trying to think back. There's probably a lot of shystery behavior back then.
Oh, totally.
Get the car used, and get it spiffed up, and then sell it, and then hope that
Change
30
the odometer numbers.
Yeah, leave town.
Yep.
Change the town. There was a guy. I grew up in Lansing, Michigan area. And there was a guy, and this has all been public. This is all public record. He got convicted and everything. Terry Hanks, Sundance Chevrolet.
If you're listening, Terry, give us a call.
Yeah, in Grand Ledge, Michigan. And he was the guy. He used to do those TV commercials. And TV commercials, all the auto dealers try to be weirder than the other so they could get the attention. When you're watching TV, whatever. Right. And he had to get you to drive out to Grand Ledge, out of Lansing, out to Grand Ledge, one of the suburbs, a little bit of ways out. And so he'd be on TV on a horse with a cowboy hat.
Okay.
And it was Sundance Chevrolet. And then he'd say his thing was, if I make a buck, it's sheer luck. You've heard me say that a couple of times, joking around the office.
Yeah.
People say, Scott, how do you get paid? Oh, if I make a buck, it's sheer luck. We're investment advisors. We charge an advisory fee just like anybody else.
Yep. And
then if we help folks with anything insurance based, then insurance policies pay a commission, like Medicare supplement. I think it's like a River of Nickels. It's not a lot of money, so I don't really pay.
River of Nickels.
Yeah, we just help people. I don't pay a lot of attention to it. Term life insurance. Somebody needs term life insurance. Like we just talked to somebody the other day that they've got a ways to go till they retire, and they need to insure their income, and they have special needs kids and stuff, and they're a little bit behind in retirement. So we just said, here's some quotes on some term life insurance.
Yeah, that's
if one of you passes. If one of you passes away, we lose an income, and we get special needs kids, and they got 2 special needs kids. Yeah. I don't even know how you do that.
Full-time job.
Well, they've got one kid. That goes to a Big Ten school I don't like.
I like it though.
Yeah. Max is an Ohio State fan.
Yep.
So they've got one kid in college, and that's running about $4,000 a month annualized. So during the school, it's more than $4,000 a month. It's probably, I don't know I can't talk into math at the same time. It's probably like $6,000 a month during the school year.
Yep.
And then they get 2 special needs kids, and they're both still working, and they're both behind in retirement a little ways. So they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But it's just so anywho. So if I make a buck, it's sheer luck, Max. But so Susan said, should I be moving out of my 401k now that I'm retired? Now, when people say moving money out of their 401k, Max, they could mean many things. They could mean, should I be taking taxable distributions from my 401k because I'm retired?
Yeah.
How about Max? How about I'm retired? Now, she didn't say, she said 401k. I guess I would have to assume traditional 401k because she didn't specify. So Max, should Susan, or should another Susan, or anybody who knew a person named Susan, should somebody just retire and then just pick at their 401k to pay their bills?
Should they? No. Do they? No, we say it all the time.
They do,
Unfortunately,
people do that.
it
We actually
blows my mind.
We actually had a gentleman. He listens to our radio show. So we have a radio show on Sunday mornings, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time in Chicago on WIND, AM 560. And you can tune into that on TuneIn app or iHeart. It's the call letters are WIND. It's an AM station, AM 560 in Chicago, Sunday mornings, 7 to 9 a.m. Central. Or you can go to you can go to 560replay.com to listen to past shows. Sometimes we have my mom on the show or whatnot. We're going to have your dad on the show, by the way.
Definitely.
That's something I forgot. We got to put him on the roster. So Max's dad, put him on the roster. There we go. So yeah, we have people that retire and they pick at their 401k. And what I said about the radio show. We had a gentleman come in, Bob from Buffalo Grove, the structural engineer guy. He's a big STEM advocate, which is a science, technical. What does it stand for? Engineering and math.
Yeah. Last person asked that.
I think it's science, technical, engineering and math, STEM education. You know what I mean? So we have a listener from Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Bob, he's been on our program. He's a big advocate of STEM education for the kids. And so what he did is he, what was he saying? Oh, he came to see us and said that he just left all his money in his 401k.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah, and that's not the only person that said that. We've had other people write into the radio show, write into the podcast and say, yep, just leave it on the 401k. And people do this, and it can be 20, this is why it popped in my mind with him. It can be 20 years. He told everybody on the air that, it's not a secret. He told everybody in Chicagoland over the air this, okay?
Yep.
And he said, yep, been retired like 20 years. Great company I used to work for. I can't remember if it's at Voya or Vanguard or where it's at. Doesn't really matter. Nothing against any of those companies either which way. Just something probably that you probably shouldn't ought to do. So he retired and left the money in there 20 years after retirement. Now he's been fortunate that we've been, for most of the last about 16 years, we've been in a bull market. So then he says, I worked for a great company, which was a great company. He worked for a great engineering firm. Terrific. And then he says, I think it was Voya or something. I really like Voya. They've done a great job. And well, they did a job, but they didn't make the market go up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't make the market go up. So your former employer doesn't make the market go up, doesn't make the market stay up. And Voya doesn't make it go up. Vanguard doesn't make it go up. I don't make it go up. Max, can you make the market go up?
I wish.
Yeah. So what's happening right now is a high complacency level. A lot of folks, it's like that Warren Buffett thing. When the tide's up, it's hard to tell who's not wearing shorts. Tide goes out, you see who's naked, something like that. So a lot of things, you can feel quite overconfident and get kind of cocky, right? When the market's up.
Yeah, I think right now is one of the most interesting time periods that we've gone through in the past couple of decades.
Yeah.
2025 was the first year in over 15 years where we've seen the U.S. stock market lag or get beat by foreign markets.
Oh, yeah.
We also are seeing about 95 to 100% of companies are overvalued right now. And we've also seen more investors in the market than we ever had. So when we're kind of combining those things, it's kind of
But Max, it's good to have maximum participation.
I suppose.
But yeah, it can be. They used to have that thing about, and this is dated now because now we have Uber drivers. But they used to say like in the 90s there was a big internet boom until there wasn't. Until the market fell like 43% in the early 2000s.
I'm just getting scared because I have a lot of people like the mailman or like my Uber driver or like person who cuts my hair starting to give me stock picks and stock advice and trying to kind of talk like they know this stuff as much as we do.
Yeah.
And usually during those time periods is when things start getting a little hairy.
Yeah, so they used to say in the 90s, they used to say when your cab driver's giving you stock tips.
Yeah.
And I remember I moved to Chicago in 1998. I was 25 years old then. I'm 53 now, but I moved in 98 over here from Michigan. After I got out of the Navy and I moved back to Michigan, finished school, then I moved to Chicago and that. And there were exactly that. There were cab drivers in Chicago that would talk to you about their favorite, their hot stocks and the .com IPO and all this stuff.
Yep.
I mean, when you have your cab driver in the late 90s talking about stock IPO, stock IPOs, and I'm like, how does it matter? You can't get in on the IPO. You can buy like after the IPO.
Yep.
And then, the stock get hammered potentially. So, typically when you turn 59 and a half, we should say, Susan, when you turn 59 and a half, it's a good time to think about what they call an in-service rollover, rolling money from a 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSP, SUP, Simple KEO, EIEIO. I don't know if I forgot anybody. Employer plans, when you turn 59 and a half, most of them are going to allow you to roll that money to an IRA and or a Roth IRA. So we'd want to talk about that. We don't want to go directly from a traditional 401k to a Roth IRA because that's two things at once. So let's walk then chew gum, not walk and chew gum, get in a bad accident. Roth conversions have several tax-related consequences, so you really want to separate those and treat those as separate events. Now, a rollover of a 401k to an IRA, not a taxable event. So, and if you then choose to consider a Roth conversion thereafter, we go over those numbers and do that very carefully.
Do not want to move it all into your checking or savings either. Do not do that.
We've had people. There's a local gas utility, and there's nothing wrong with the gas utility. So in the city of Chicago, it's People's Gas. In the suburbs, it's Nicor. And so what happens is sometimes folks are offered a lump sum pension. And then what happens there sometimes, they do this at People's Gas for the guys that are out on the trucks, like the 50-some-year-old guy on the trucks. Mm-hmm. He gets to be 55, 59, around 55. And they'll say, Max, you've been out on the truck all these years, and we got this pension waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what we'd like to do for you? We'd like to offer you a lump sum pension. And I don't blame People's Gas. They're actually pretty fair offers. It's how you handle the offer. Yep. And so if you make a mess of it or not. And so what some gentlemen have done, we hear stories from other guys that are smarter at People's Gas that come see us. What some of the guys have done, and usually it's a single guy, like a 55 single guy. Yeah. Because they'll say, well, we're going to give you $900,000 to $950,000 lump sum. That's the numbers we see. And they're fair offers if the money's managed properly. But what ought to happen, not specific advice or mileage may vary, what usually ought to happen in that situation is you ought to have the money go directly to your IRA. So we'd set up an IRA at Schwab or at Fidelity, either which way. Have the money not be paid to you, have it be paid to your IRA, not a taxable event. Then we could do, we can consider some broader diversified investment options, because it would come in as cash. And then we would consult with you what we think might be the best way to invest that. We need to be careful that we don't take too much risk, but we also need to grow the money because of inflation and so on and so forth. From there, we come up with a tax plan. And probably it might involve some Roth conversions over a number of years. So you have to be careful with that, so don't try this at home. And we probably would look at some Section 7702 conversions and some other nifty tricks. So one of the things we try to do is to try to reduce lifetime income taxes for clients. So if you want to see what we could do, get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com.
I was going to say there's 170 tax incentive codes and
there's more than that. So
yeah, I can't remember how many.
Now I've forgotten the number, but we use 60 some of the techniques.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a whole boatload. And so if your advisor's only talking about Roth conversions, have they talked to you about 7702, and have they talked to you about some of the incentives, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act? If they haven't, tuckerretirement.com, or even if they have. And if you want to see the video version of this podcast, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and those. And I think on iHeart, and that you can subscribe on iHeart as well. But you can also subscribe at YouTube, at tuckeryoutube.com, and take you right to our channel. You can subscribe there and like everything and tell us how great we are. Well, Max, we have run out of time for today's podcast, so we got to be shoving off. Get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. Get the video version of the podcast at tuckeryoutube.com. We'll talk to you on the next episode.